Welcome to Monday, January 22nd, 2024. Your Day Weather Podcast brought to you by Hot Springs County Travel and Tourism, reminding you with the cold, wintry weather at Thermopolis, you can always find yourself in hot water. Well, we have several iridescent clouds to show you across the west here over the last few days. A lot of high and mid-level cloudiness is going to be around as we are going to be looking at most of the weather to be dominated by the Pacific this week. No Arctic weather to talk about. It's all about the Pacific. So that means the wet, most active weather is going to be right along the west coast, the desert southwest. But as the storms come across the west coast, they're going to lose a lot of their character, a lot of their integrity. They're just not going to be able to really hold together the further east you go. So there'll be a gradient. More wet the further west you go. The more east you go, it's going to be more in the way of clouds. Rebound in these temperatures. We don't see any Arctic influence this week. Expect any really big change back to really cold weather to wait a while. We really don't have anything cold or terribly stormy in the high plains or central Rockies this week and probably into early next week. However, right at the end of the month, right into the first week of February, things are going to change and probably go back to a much colder, wintry pattern across the central and western U.S. So the weather's kind of relaxing at the moment, although it's going to be unsettled. But the bigger weather will be along the far west coast areas. A coronal mass ejection is expected to arrive today. This is just a highlight for you aurora borealis chasers. There might be something tonight out there. Maybe there was something last night, but tonight in particular, as there was a coronal mass ejection that came out over the weekend and will arrive later today. Another shot of some beautiful iridescent clouds out of Colorado and just beautiful sunrises and sunsets with all of these high and mid-level Pacific clouds coming across. We're going to have more of those mornings and evenings where we'll have some good photo opportunities all across the Intermountain West and the Western High Plains. The Pacific is the dominant factor this week. And you can really see a lot going on. First of all, north of Hawaii here, coming up and headed towards central and southern California. It's just a nice pipeline of Pacific moisture. This is exactly what you expect in an El Nino pattern, a southern jet stream that gets more active. And you can see the cloudiness here right along the west coast from the Pacific Northwest through California. Swirl of clouds up there. We've got more systems over here. So the Pacific is really going to be dominating the weather pattern. But as these systems come inland, the majority of the precipitation is going to be coming out really to just about here and along and west of that line. And this is the radar this morning. Rain and snow all along the west coast. Ice here in the Midwest. As the Arctic air starts to retreat, you're going to get warmer, moist air over the colder air on the ground and icy conditions there. While here, there's really not going to be too much going on other than some mountain snow showers. So here's that low coming into the west coast today, causing that weather. And as we get to the end of the week, this is Thursday. So you can see that the western United States is under a broad trough here for the entire week. But you can see that the storms don't get consolidated. You don't see a system like this where you see a lot of deep color changes where the low becomes strong and you get an upslope pattern. It's more of a west to east flow. So that is good for the mountains. That's good for the snowpack, but it's really not going to produce much in the way of moisture once you get east of the divide. The really bitter cold air retreats. It's back up here now north of this line. So that's where the cold air is going to be. It's going to get bottled up again, but when it gets bottled up, it's going to want to release later. That's why we're expecting right at the end of the month, into that first week of February, is about the timing of those changes. Between now and then, it's all about the Pacific. This is the precipitation forecast through Friday late afternoon. So you see that gradient, heaviest right along the coast. Then as you get further east, the mountain ranges soak up a lot of the better moisture. So by the time you get to the divide, there's going to be some snow showers, but they get weaker the further east you go. Then as systems come out, hit the Gulf of Mexico moisture, you'll start to see the systems producing rain, snow as you get across portions of the lower southern plains and into those areas there. But notice right here, there's a bit of a pattern where down-sloping winds dry out the air, and east of the mountains and along the divide, it's going to be kind of the reverse of the last week or so, where the biggest weather was east of the divide. Now it's west of the divide. We're just kind of trading places, so to speak, in terms of where the action's going to be. So there's going to be some really good precipitation in New Mexico, Arizona, Nevada, Idaho, back through the Pacific Northwest, California. Very beneficial and very good moisture. Nice rains in the Central Valleys and the West Coast, with more snow in the Sierra Nevada and snow into the interior mountain ranges. So that'll be good for the snowpacks along and west of that line right there. And there you can see the snowfall forecast between now and Friday. Then as we look at temperatures over the next couple of days, this is actually the next 5 days. Notice temperatures rebound nicely. Will be a little bit cooler than average down here in the southwest, but this isn't terribly warm. It's obviously not terribly cold either. Temperatures just a little bit above seasonal averages for the next week or so. Not bad, and there's high pressure building in for the weekend. So when we get to the weekend, shouldn't have much weather in the west, and this high pressure ridge could be rather robust, meaning later this weekend into the early parts of next week. Again, not a lot going on, but then here we go with these changes. This is towards the first weekend of February. We're pretty confident there'll be some wholesale changes. Back to stormy, wintry weather again in the Rockies, the far west, and the Central Plains. So we'll wrap up the last days of January with nothing terribly bad, but once we get into February, things begin to change again. That coronal mass ejection I talked about, I wanted to show you. Look at this is kind of a busy graphic here, but look at the middle graphic. So here's the Earth, the yellow ball here, and then here's the sun. And what you're seeing is the coronal mass ejection from the solar flare coming through the Earth later today. So you can see it's Earth directed, coming right on through. It's not a direct hit. The heaviest part of the coronal mass ejection is over here, but nonetheless, for northern latitude areas, the aurora may come out tonight. We'll see. Have yourself a good Monday. We'll see you tomorrow.